Good morning, or should I say good day, because we have an Australian in our midst. Morning, Pauline. How the devil are you all doing this fine day? Me? Well, do you ever get the feeling that you're just on a roll, like everything is coming together? Well, that's me right now. All the work we've put into this show over the past 3 years just feels like it's starting to pay off. We've got several new show sponsors lined up, and they will make an appearance just as soon as we've got their video ads ready. It also looks as if we're going to be working with some truly major brands while we're in Las Vegas at the ConExpo show as well. And just as importantly, I guess, our reputation continues to grow. I hosted a Talk Tuesday live stream over on Instagram yesterday. In addition to a lot of familiar faces from here in the UK and in Europe, we had several viewers from India, Hawaii, Australia, Argentina, and right across the US as well. Seriously, who would have thought that a humble little venture started purely as a reaction to COVID-19 would gain so much traction across the world? We now just have to hope, I guess, that the growing threat of recession doesn't ruin it for all of us. Now, without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, which I've actually remembered to do today, and I'm going to get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It is Wednesday, the 11th of January, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, we're going to be looking at intelligent machine controls with Komatsu. It's hammer time at Takeuchi. We're paving the way with Wirtgen Group, and we're giving ConExpo 2023 some more screen time. That will make a whole lot more sense when we get to it. Plus, the change starts here with Volvo Construction Equipment. I'm going to get to all of that in just a second, but this is going to be a test for us. Al Grierson, morning Al, who is over in Luxembourg. He is listening in the car, so we're all going to have to describe what we're seeing because he can't see it for himself. It's going to get particularly interesting because one of the videos isn't even in English, although being multilingual like you are, Al, I'm sure you'll get something out of it anyway. So let's start by seeing who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to author Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Yes, I'm that cultured. Former US Secretary John Kerry and singer Brenda Lee. Happy birthday also to singer Jermaine Jackson, Motley Crue bassist Nikki Sixx, celebrity chef Marco Pierre White, and Delamitri singer Justin Curry. To TV presenter and West Ham supporter Ben Shepherd, professional wrestler Rey Mysterio, and to footballer who seemed to have been around forever, Leighton Baines. And just very quickly, a very happy birthday to Charlotte Brown over at Lugong Direct UK. Many happy returns to them, one and all. It's quite a few years since I first saw Komatsu's intelligent machine control system in action. At the time, even though the product was still in its infancy, it felt like we were getting a glimpse of the future. Well, that future is right now.
Wcześniej pracowałem na koparkach, na których był zamontowany system wskaźnikowy. Teraz, kiedy używam koparki inteligentnej Komatsu, gdzie jest system automatyczny, zauważam ogromną różnicę na plus. Koparką inteligentną PC290 LCI jestem w stanie wykonać skarpowanie 2 razy szybciej niż przedtem. Znakomitym udogodnieniem dla mnie jest automatyczny przechył łyżki skarpowej oraz blokada kąta natarcia łyżki.
Jeżeli chodzi o maszyny inteligentne Komatsu, to bardzo ważne dla mnie jest wsparcie zdalne klienta od strony firmy Komatsu Poland. Zawsze możemy liczyć tutaj na pomoc. Pamiętam, jak na budowie nie było już zasięgu z radiowej stacji bazowej, a robota do wykonania była bardzo pilna. Wówczas inżynier wsparcia Komatsu przekonfigurował zdalnie maszynę na pracę w oparciu o poprawki internetowe. No i pracę można to wykonać było w terminie.
Wybrałem maszyny inteligentne Komatsu ze względu na zintegrowane rozwiązanie. Muszę też zwrócić uwagę na wysoką produktywność tych maszyn, na które składa się niskie spalanie paliwa oraz szybka i dokładnie wykonana praca. Obecnie mamy zakupionych 6 maszyn inteligentnych Komatsu, w tym jest jedna koparka oraz pykarka z generacji IMC 2.0. Myślę, że niedługo ta liczba jeszcze się zwiększy.
Rok 2021 to zdecydowanie rok nowych koparek inteligentnych z generacji IMC 2.0. Oprócz nowych dodanych funkcji systemowych, takich jak automatyczny przechył łyżki skarpowej oraz blokada kąta natarcia łyżki, nowe koparki inteligentne Komatsu mogą śledzić satelity z wielu systemów satelitarnych GNSS. Oprócz najbardziej popularnych GPS i GLONASS, możemy tutaj korzystać również z Galileo, Beidou oraz QZSS. Najnowsze koparki inteligentne z nowej generacji IMC 2.0 są dostępne wśród 3 modeli koparek Komatsu: PC210, PC290 oraz PC360.
Yeah, interestingly, I'm in the process of producing a new episode of our Tech Foresights video and audio podcast. And I'm looking back at Balfour Beatty's predictions that construction sites would be a human-free zone by the year 2050. There's a lot in those predictions that still feels a long way off, but they were right on the money, I think, with their prediction of smart machines that can communicate among themselves and with the operator and the owner as well. I'll be bringing that episode to you in the next week or so. The question of the day that we put up on this channel is partly just to basically get some engagement, get some to and fro going on, but it's also a bit of a profiling measure. Today's question was, if you didn't work in construction, what do you think you'd be doing? So we'll start with the very straightforward, and we're going to start with this. Ken Hatcher says, God knows what I'd be doing. I did a bit of pottery and electronic engineering when I left school first. Okay, so fine. This one comes as no surprise. If anyone knows Lou Carney, if you didn't work in construction, what would you do? A wine, gin, and champagne and chocolate taster for Selfridges. Nice work if you can get it. But my particular favourite so far this morning is from Gary Muirhead, who says, if I wasn't in the construction industry, I think I would be in the porn industry. Having dabbled, Gary, I can tell you it's not all it's cracked up to be. Although I was probably on the wrong side of things. We'll come back to that because I think we've had a few more answers on that. But first, let's roll one of these. Paving equipment. Like compaction equipment, cranes and access platforms, they sit on the very edge of my field of vision. I realise they play an integral part in the construction process, but I just find them all a bit, I don't know, uninspiring. However, we came across this video from the fine folks at Wirtgen, and it's got me rethinking my objections. Looks a great system, doesn't it? I have to admit, Wirtgen kind of flies under my radar a bit. It was only when I saw their massive stand at Bauma last year that I realised just what a huge company they really are. I'll make a point of swinging by their stand at ConExpo. Now, just one other thing I need to address. I wish I hadn't put my head above the parapet on this. Our friend Pauline over in Australia. Were you a porn star? Really? No. Look at me. Come on. Do you really think this would, even back in my prime, do you really think this would have been acceptable as a porn star? No, Pauline. I actually wrote for an adult magazine for a period of about 4 years. There is actually an audio, may even be an audio and video podcast detailing just how that all came to be. I'll send you a copy afterwards before we get too bogged down in all of that right here. We're just going to make a quick stop with the fine folks at Takeuchi, but we're not looking at mini excavators as you might expect. In fact, it's hammer time. Are those breakers purebred Takeuchi or are they badged? If anyone knows, I'd love to hear from you. If anyone knows, please let us have your comments in the chat. Don't know. Is the easy answer on that?
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Right, we're going to make a quick stop in Las Vegas before we head back to nature with Volvo. The fine folks at Screen Machine Industries are gearing up for ConExpo, and they're taking some pretty awesome kit with them. Yeah, that's another company on my must-see list for ConExpo. We just had a question in the chat from our friend Pauline over at Demolition in Australia. What are the dates of ConExpo? I'm going to throw that over to, in actual fact, he's already done it. Our moderator, my son Fred, is in the chat. It begins on the 14th of March. I think it's the 14th to the 18th off the top of my head, but I'll leave Fred to clarify that. In the meantime, this. You might recall that during my trip to the Nürburgring late last year, I got to speak to Volvo Construction Equipment's Bill Law about the company's Change Starts Here sustainability campaign. If you didn't, I'll throw a link in the chat in just a second. But I get to hear a lot about campaigns and initiatives and PR blurb from various companies. But I was struck at the time by the belief and the buy-in from the Volvo team. This isn't just a slogan on jackets. This is an actual mindset. Well, that mindset continues.
Daisy, my dog, goes sort of about 50 feet away from me, looking down a hill, and starts barking. So I walk over to her and say, "Oh, Daisy, what did you find?" And I look up in front of me, and all of a sudden there is an enormous bull moose. And it was just such a special encounter, and it really reinforced that idea of conservation and us being a piece of that puzzle. That's how we normally walk.
Yeah, when we're going down here, it's usually
like this, so you should tell us to walk further. So my name is Jen, and I'm the founder of Walden Hill. Walden Hill was actually founded in a really roundabout way. I was in graduate school for forestry and business, and I was looking into the intersection between business and the environment. These are our farm dogs, Ralph and Daisy. I work with my husband, Tylen, to create sustainable acorn-fed pork. When I founded the business, I was thinking about what do I really want the mission of this business to be? And so obviously we create a product that we sell, acorn-fed pork, but more largely we were thinking how can we incorporate sustainability into every aspect of what we do. When we found the property in 2014, it was really being marketed to parcel off that 400 acres and turn them into house lots. That was really devastating to me. I fell in love with it and knew that we had to jump on it, and this was really our future. We have so many different projects here at the farm, and several of those we hadn't implemented yet because it just felt so incongruous in my mind to use a diesel machine to work on a project that was to enhance our sustainability. So the Volvo electric excavator has really helped us feel so much better about finally moving forward with a lot of these projects that are conservation and sustainability focused. We use our ECR 25 for a variety of projects. We do everything from grading farm roads, like Tylen's doing behind me, to clearing stumps, to moving logs to process firewood, removing bittersweet. We scoop acorns with it, put in culverts. We are really excited to have a machine that can be so versatile. One thing that's really nice about our new Volvo electric excavator is how quiet it is. I can stand really close to it, have a conversation. I'm not inhaling fumes, so it allows us to work more seamlessly together. It's funny, I do on Instagram, like, hashtag I am a modern farmer. Modern farmer, it sort of also just feels a little catchy. Like, modern farmer makes me think of someone in Brooklyn who like bought a lettuce plant. No offense to anyone in Brooklyn, I have a lot of friends in Brooklyn, love them all, but. Because we have such an intersection between business and home, not every project is for our financial bottom line. We really want to make sure that we are thinking about sustainability and implementing projects that can have community and regional benefits that don't necessarily come through on a balance sheet. You know, sometimes doesn't feel like it's as globally impactful as I might want it to be. And then I have those reminders of, but we're a piece of the puzzle, and each of us can be our own piece of the puzzle.
These films are just getting incredibly cinematic, aren't they? I could watch that stuff for hours. But first, we need to do a bit of this.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this for what we now lovingly call the Craic. Hey. sun's out here. Hope it's a bit brighter where you are. Let's have a look. Let's see who's in the chat. Chat was turned on its head somewhat this morning. I normally know the order in which people are going to arrive. Not like that at all today. So let me just turn that down a bit because that's quite loud. Go back to the comments. First off the mark, and from the furthest distance away, is our friend Pauline Fletcher, founder of DemoSafe in Australia. Howdy from Australia, she says. Good day to you, Pauline. We must have a chat. I'd like to get you on one of our podcasts at some point in the future. Speaking of podcasts, as soon as this show is over, I'm going to send you the link to the podcast in which I describe my journey into and back out of the porn industry. It's nowhere near as graphic as you might believe. Peter Ferguson, good morning, Peter. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Let's have a rattle through here. Gary Muirhead was next in line. Morning, Mark, and morning, guys, he says. Morning, Gary. Thank you very much indeed for being here, as always. One of our most regular viewers, and certainly one of our most loyal. Dan Cullen echoes the statement that I said. Happy hump day, guys. Yeah, almost the weekend. Almost, well, not quite. Loads to get through yet. Al Grisson says, hi, Mark, and hi, gang, even though he is only listening today. Yeah, it's all I can do with an Australian twang is good day. Jim Turner's here as well. Morning, Jim. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Incidentally, Jim, I was caught in a rabbit hole of YouTube last night. Came across a Japanese band called Passcode. How do I describe Passcode? If you imagine computer game audio or music combined with thrash metal and a bit of J-pop thrown in for good measure, that's what Passcode are. Go and check out, Jim, a song called Flavors of Blue. It will blow your head off. It really is quite a remarkable thing. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I have to say I quite enjoyed it. Al Grissom has already said he's actually listening in the car. Just to describe what's happening at the moment, Jim, because we've been talking about the porn industry, I am now stripped to the waist. Everybody is admiring my muscularity, as they're not doing any such thing. But thank you very much indeed for being here. Our moderator, Fred, has very kindly thrown up a link to the YouTube channel where we have lots more from Komatsu. Obviously, they're one of the stars of today's show. Question of the day. Now, this is where we get into the profiling of the audience. Gary Muirhead, I have a somewhere here. Bear with me 1 second. I just want to play something for you when I can find it. It's here somewhere. I know it is. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Gary Muirhead, and you're watching The Breakfast Show.
You have to admit, he does look like he could have a role in the porn industry. Not entirely sure what that role might be, but yes, best of luck to you with that one, Gary. Ken Hatcher's here as well. Morning from you, Ken. Just speaking of Welsh Wales, how time flies. You might recall that we brought you a podcast video interview with the fine folks down at J2R Demolition down near Cardiff less than a year ago. In fact, it was around September time, thereabouts. Had a call last night, or an email message last night, to say that basically virtually everything that had been mentioned in the video had now changed. The setup of the company, the location of the company, everything has changed. So keep watching this space, because it looks like I may just have to revisit Wales at some point in the not too distant future to bring that all up to date. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've already mentioned this one. Ken Hatcher, what he'd be doing. Pottery and electronic engineering, they sit so well together. Lou fancies herself a job in the wine tasting business. I thought you already did that, Lou. I just think you're already doing that role, but it's unpaid at present. Question of the day, Jim Turner. Anything as long as the pay is good. I love my job, but if something different comes up and the money's good enough, I jump ship. It's the day job that helps build my farming business, and the end goal is to get the day job down to 4 or maybe 3 days a week when we can, or if we can ever afford it. It's interesting, actually. when I watch the way that Fred is with the sort of commercial side of diggers and dozers, because he's still living at home and doesn't have wives and offspring to pay for like I still have. It really is. It is. Every penny he earns is a token towards something he wants to do or something he wants to own. At the moment, he's got his eye on a new camera, which hopefully will be on the books before we get to ConExpo. He's got the hots for that. But yeah, it takes a very different view of all things money-wise. Mine is largely trying to keep my head above water. Although, as I say, the last couple of days, it does feel like things are finally coming together. Fingers crossed. Mick Norton says intelligent machine control, IMC, is the future. It's disappointing the UK training providers and employers are not collaborating more in training initiatives that support this technology. Yeah, it is an interesting one. I mean, some are. I certainly, some of the stuff that I saw up at the Leica training facility back end of last year, and I know Flannery's are doing some great work in that field as well. I think Lynch are as well, but needs to be more of it because it is very much the future. If you didn't see it, I did touch on some of this with Ben, the operator, in conversation with, which I think went up yesterday. Bearing in mind the guy is 17 years old, he's been on machines for quite some time, but 17 years old, so he's only been doing it professionally for a few years. And he is typical of the modern generation in that he actually expects all of these driver aids and machine guidance, and that's part and parcel of what he sees as the construction industry. And he is not alone in that. There's lots of others out there that will be coming into the industry, basically expecting the technology to be right there in place. Gary Muirhead says, GPS and tilt rotator, perfect combination. You're absolutely right, they certainly are. I will get back to you on that, Pauline. It's a lot. The story is funnier, but a lot more dull than you may have pictured. I can only imagine what you pictured, and I apologise for that, even though I had no part in it. Dan Cohen, question of the day. I think I'd be farming. Got lots of interesting equipment. Also, born on farming. Got me interested. More knowledge of engines and self-serving kit. Yeah, used to be a key way into the construction industry, didn't it? And particularly in certain parts of the country, like East Anglia and places like that, people coming straight out of farming and into construction. Is that still the case? Not entirely sure. Nigel Williams would know. I think he was one of those. That Wirtgen is a pretty funky piece of kit. Yeah, as I say, Wirtgen do some amazing things, but because it's by and large it's paving and that, it kind of, it's over there, and I don't really pay attention to it. Mick Norton asks, now, has Wirtgen been bought out by John Deere or vice versa? I can't remember which way round it is. I think Wirtgen is a John Deere company. If anybody else can clarify that, I'd love to hear from you. I could never lose my link with construction, but alternatively, I'd be bottling goldfish farts for use in the manufacture of bottling goldfish farts for use in the manufacture of spirit levels. If you just came up with that, Mick, you're a comedic genius. If you've had that lurking around in the background, you probably need to do more with your life. But thank you very much indeed for that. Dan Cole says, question 8, or either in a warehouse forklift truck or on docks on a material handler. Interesting question. So many possibilities. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, because of the way I came into the industry, I'm journalist first and demolition construction person second. So I guess I could have ended up pretty much anywhere, including in the adult magazine industry. This God had other plans for me. Pauline says, glad you clarified your position. Yeah, my position is very clear. No, my clothes stayed on, trust me. Mark Anthony, if Ian Tate could be a porn star back in the day, so could you, for sure. Don't undersell yourself. You see, that doesn't mean anything to me, because I probably have a largely encyclopedic knowledge of female porn stars. I honestly have no idea who Ian Tate is, and I don't want to go and look. I'm going to call a halt to that bit of the conversation right now, because I really don't want to find out. Yeah, I think we've clarified on that. ConExpo dates are the 14th to the 18th of March, and I realise it's quite a journey for you, Pauline, but if you do decide to hop on a big metal bird and fly over to Las Vegas, let me know. It'd be great to meet up with you face to face. And there you are. There are the dates, 14th to the 18th. Thanks to our moderator Fred for providing the dates. Yeah, I remember seeing the plant leaving the conference centre. They don't mess about. Following day, low loaders after low loaders. You know, it's an interesting thing. If anybody over on YouTube, go and have a look at the Awesome Earth Movers channel. My mate Chris McGuinness got a fantastic channel over there. And after shows, or before shows and after shows, he tends to get there very early and leave very late. And some of his biggest performing videos aren't machines in action. They're actually machines rolling out of the Las Vegas Convention Center or out of the Messermünchen Exhibition Center over in Germany. Absolutely fascinating. But yeah, you're absolutely... But when you think about the Las Vegas Convention Center, it's just hosted the Consumer Electronics Show, CES. I think that was last week. I think World of Concrete is due to start very soon, and then probably something else, and then it will be ConExpo, and then probably the week after that it'll be something completely different. So they really are on a fast turnaround. Incredible the logistics that go into a show of that nature. Jim Turner, funny how they push the non-diesel machine but use it to process firewood. The world has gone barking mad, hasn't it? Let's be absolutely honest. I'll definitely look them up. I can't remember what it was you were looking up, but thank you. Let's have a look. Al Grierson, Al would like to be a digger driver instead of a teacher. I can't believe he would actually give that up. But now, Lou Carney has put a LinkedIn, not a LinkedIn, a YouTube video, I think, on in the chat. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'm hoping and praying it's not porn star Ian Tate, whoever the hell that is. But she's also clarified that young Ben Wade, Ben the operator over on Instagram, is going to Plantworks. Yes, I am aware of that. Looking forward to actually meeting you face to face rather than over one of these computer links. Pauline Fletcher says, I would be the kale queen of Australia. Have Australian 28 juicy camp on a beach retreat for those that want to lose weight and get better health detox, all our heavy metals. Pauline, Australia, beach. I'm in for all of that, but the kale and the detox, not for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the very kind offer. Jim Turner says, I'd say my farming background as a kid, operating equipment from a young age, certainly helped when I started in construction. I'd say it happens that way a lot less nowadays. Yeah, as I say, it used to be, particularly in certain areas of the country. I'm thinking specifically about bits of Yorkshire, East Anglia, bits of Kent as well. The route into construction, and certainly construction equipment operation, tended to come from farming. I do think that is, maybe that's an issue with the mechanisation of the agricultural industry. Maybe we have less people coming up through the ranks because some of it's been automated. I don't know. Farming, again, like paving, like cranes, like access, that's over there. I don't really pay too much attention to it, but it's an interesting idea. Paulie was thinking about going to Vegas, but a 6-week remote project to do starting the end of Feb or early March would be great. Frank D'Angelo keeps talking about it. If Frank is going, please get him to give me a call. I'm sure he's got my number. If he hasn't, I'll give it to you. But be lovely to meet up. It's quite interesting actually when you go to some of these international shows, like a ConExpo and like a Bauma. You get to rub shoulders with people from all walks of life and certainly all corners of the world. And I know I spent quite a bit of time at the last ConExpo. I spent one day with a bunch of Australians and I spent another day with a bunch of South Africans. Good fun. Great fun. Great to get a different perspective on all that we were seeing. So if Frankie's going, please let me know. Tell Fred to get his toys bought now before the mortgages and hangers-on come along. Wife, kids, etc. Yeah, he is doing precisely that. Just to clarify, the YouTube link wasn't Ian It wasn't Ian Tate, porn star. Unlikely porn star, apparently. But it is Ben's interview with me, or my interview with Ben. He's the star. I was just pressing the buttons in the background. But thanks for that, Lou. My comedian ventriloquist partner of 4 years lives in the USA, was once no porn star, but was a Las Vegas performer. Wow. A comedian ventriloquist partner. I'm looking for the comedy in this. You're in Australia, he's in America, and I guess he throws his voice, does he? Can he throw it that far? Can he throw it all the way to Australia? I don't know how these things work. Yeah, just going back to Fred's investment, he's got his eye on. He's a bit of a Canon fan, so there is a new Canon camera that he's got his eye on. Availability apparently is quite an issue at the moment because as fast as they make them, they are sold out. And I think that's been some kind of knock-on effect from the COVID pandemic. Much the same as you couldn't buy capture cards for video and that kind of thing for quite some time. I think a lot of people that were forced to work from home started to embrace Zooming and Microsoft Teams, but also things like live streaming as well. And some of the camera equipment that you would most normally associate with live streaming, like capture cards, but like the clean HDMI cameras from the likes of Canon and Sony, all of a sudden they became about as common as hen's teeth. So they are really, really hard to get hold of at the moment. As Al Grissom says, all new camera gear availability is still spotty. It's frustrating, yeah, it is. Particularly when you look at something like ConExpo, we've already said it starts on the 14th of March. So, you know, it's still 2 months away. You'd think that the ability to go out and buy the new camera, to have it here in plenty of time, to learn the basic functions before you jump on the plane and head off to Las Vegas, you'd think that would be fairly straightforward. Apparently not. I know he tried to buy the camera before Christmas, failed. He's tried since Christmas, failed. So, you know, fingers crossed. Not that we need it. You know, there's plenty of camera gear kicking around here, as you've seen from previous episodes and the output that Fred puts out. But he's looking to up his game, as we all are. And speaking of upping our game, my new laptop, which was scheduled to be here on the 17th of this month, apparently, according to DHL, I had a notification, should be here today. I'm going to come back to that one in just a second. Just to recap, for those that weren't here, part of the plan of the laptop is basically to make me more productive, allow me to work out of hours and allow me to work on the road and that kind of thing, particularly in places like Las Vegas, so we'll be able to broadcast our show live and direct from the Las Vegas Convention Center. But it's also going to allow us to take the show on the road. I am going to drop a line to a couple of key people in the industry today. Funnily enough, that's on my to-do list, to see if we can get set up to do a couple of live broadcasts from out in the field. I'll keep you posted on that. I'm looking at a zoom lens for Stein Expo this summer. Stein Expo is this year, is it? I've not been to a Stein Expo in quite a while. I reckon 10 years, 12 years possibly. Not been to a Stein Expo for quite some time. I'm going to look that up because not really my game, but I think that combines two of Fred's greatest loves: big equipment and Germany. Fred loves German food, as Al is probably aware, and certainly a lot of other people are aware. While my personal belief, and it is just a personal belief, I believe that Spanish food is among the best in the world, right up there with the Italian. I do like my Thai food, but I do believe that Spanish food is great. Fred is all about the bratwurst and the schnitzels and the whatever else it is that the Germans eat. So Stein Expo could be right up his street, I think. Let's have a look. Pauline Fletcher. See, this is all part of our profiling of our audience. Pauline Fletcher, we met on eHarmony, spent 17 months together, but lockdown wasn't kind. I think the demolition industry, Western Australia, are trying to get to Las Vegas in 2024. There's no ConExpo in 2024, but there will certainly be. I'm not sure where the NDA, the National Demolition Association, I think their next event is it in Colorado, possibly? I'm not entirely sure. They used to host them almost exclusively in Las Vegas, so I'm not sure whether the next one is in Las Vegas in 2024. I'll go and check. Pauline Fletcher's ventriloquist memories prompted me to think about my alternative occupation. I would become a ventriloquist, as the sector's hierarchy offer an endless supply of dummies to practice on. Ah, dear. Yes. Wait, listen. Thankfully, we here at the Breakfast Show have built ourselves a bit of an enclave of sensible people. What happens outside? The door behind me is locked, and it's locked for a reason. Gary Muirhead. When are we going to see you at Scott Plant Show? Next one's 2024. Should give you enough time to prepare. Gary. I don't do this very often. Gary Muirhead, my friend. I will be at Scott Plant in 2024. You have my word. So long as I don't keel over or something between now and then, I will be at the next Scott Plant. It's a ridiculous thing, isn't it? You know, I think nothing of jumping on a plane and going to Germany for an exhibition. I think even less of jumping on a plane and going to ConExpo in Las Vegas. And yet, when Scott Plant rolled around last time, it feels like a bit far away. Edinburgh, bit of a pain, that, isn't it? Ridiculous. I will put it right, Gary. You have my word. Colorado suits me. Yeah, I have to say, I'd love to do one of those. Really would. Absolutely love to do one of those. Pauline Fletcher. Look up dummytalk.com. Mark can help you with the dummies. I'm going to do that. I'm going to see exactly who it is. I'm assuming that is your other half. I was going to say your better half, but I'm sure it's not. I'm going to go and have a look at that immediately after the show. Very quickly, just want to... had a very good... I think I mentioned it in the run-up to today's show. Had a very good chat over on Instagram yesterday, and I know a few dropped by, including Gary Muirhead, and thanks for being there, Gary. We'll be doing that again next Tuesday and every Tuesday, so long as I'm somewhere where I can do it from. Went down very well. But the one I wanted to tell you about was a week today, 7 p.m. on Wednesday the 18th, we have got our first evening show of the new year. And it is looking into the future, but it's looking into the future of 2023. Obviously, we know times is going to be hard. We know that recession is knocking on the door. We know all of that, so that's not a prediction as such. What I'm looking to do is to try and come up with a list of things that we individually and together expect to happen. Do we think that Caterpillar will make its long-awaited entrance into the hydrogen field? Don't know, but if you think that's the case, let's have that as a prediction. Do you think that, let me think, something really obscure. Do you think that Lugong will buy Komatsu? I've plucked that out of the air. It makes no sense whatsoever, but I'm looking for those kinds of things. So if you've got anything that you think is likely to happen over the course of the next 12 months, please let us know what that is. You can do it before the show, or you can do it during the show. But at the same time, I'm going to hold everyone, myself included, to account. So I'm going to draw up a list after the show of our various predictions, and back end of this year, so around about beginning of December, we will I'll drag that list out of the cupboard, and we'll have a pour over it and see if we got anything at all right. Be interested to see. Let's have a look. Al says he's looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It's going to be a good one. We're going to do it completely. I'm going to have some notes, but it's going to be unscripted, so we'll see where the conversation takes us. You could visit your Scottish estate plot of land when you're up. Yeah, that is very much the plan. I've been speaking to a company. recently who They started out by offering me the use of a vehicle. I won't tell you any more than that because it would give the game away somewhat. And my plan, if that comes together, my plan was basically to jump in said vehicle and drive it up to Scotland. And part of the idea would be to go and visit this plot of land. For those of you that aren't as regular as Gary, my best friend died in a motorcycle accident. It'll be 10 years. In about 6 months, it'll be 10 years since he died. And his parents, who are, well, his father is of Scottish extraction, had bought him a plot of land, which is probably about that big. But having that plot of land basically allowed him to have the title of Laird, Scots equivalent of Lord. So my best mate, Laird Bruce Stewart Campbell. Do names come any more Scottish than that? I don't believe they do. So he had a plot of land. After he died, his parents basically passed it on to me, and I've promised that I will actually get up there. Obviously, I got that about 3 years ago, and then COVID landed. We'd already planned to go up there at one point, had to cancel that because of COVID and lockdown and so on down the line. We shall see, but I'd love to get up there, and there's so much that I want to do while I'm up in Scotland. I want to do a Scot plant. I want to swing by, see the fine folks at Rockback. There's a couple of Leap Air machines I'd like to see up there, but top of the list, I want to swing by and pay Gary Muirhead a visit, because we're long overdue for that, Gary. So yes, keep an eye out for that. Dan Cullen, I think my groups will be the place to go for work in 2023. Unfortunately, I think we're going to need it. Toyota may surprise us. Wonder what that means. Dan says, as yesterday and this morning, added another 20 to 40 guys to my various plant and ground workers, labour and demo groups. Yeah, I saw the Construction Inquirer daily bulletin landed on my desk first thing this morning, and I saw that yet again. I think there was an administration they announced on Monday, another administration they announced yesterday, and another one today. That's still not really approaching the figures that the Red Flag Alert Company were suggesting of 6,000 in a year, but one a day, and it is the knock-on effect, isn't it? It's not, one company might be 100 people, could be 200, could be 300 people, all of whom are going to be finding themselves out of work at a time when work may be harder to come by. And then, of course, there is the knock-on effect on mental health, and even the mental health of those that are still in employment. The lack of job security, and is my job going to be safe? Am I going to have a job this time next week? And I do think there's going to be an awful lot of movement in the labour market. So if you'd like to go and have a look, go and find Dan Cullen over on WhatsApp. Lots and lots of guys looking for work over there. So if you're in the market for somebody to do some work, that's where to find them. There you are. Did you see the accident in the north on a piling rig that turned over? I did see that. Yeah, I think that again was in the Construction Inquirer as well. Very, very unfortunately, piling rigs do have a nasty habit of doing that, don't they? The government's construction minister will change at least twice before the end of 2023. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think to a large degree, it's not quite as bad as being Education Minister and Home Secretary, but Construction Minister, I think, is a bit of a poison chalice. It's not a job I would want, and unfortunately, it lays bare the very mercenary way in which government, and I don't just mean this government, I mean all governments work. If you were here on Monday when Neil Edwards was with us, you may recall that he mentioned the fact that the next general election is a couple of years away now, and that will have a huge impact upon the way in which the incumbent Tory government interacts with construction. As it stands at the moment, it's reining back on spending. As you know, it took a bit of a U-turn on at least part of the HS2 project. It's offering no real clarity on its plans for the future, so on. As soon as somebody mentions general election, there will be a sudden splurge of activity within the government trying to spend money on vote-winning things like roads, like schools, like hospitals and railways, and it's as predictable as anything. That's just the nature of the way that government works. We will crucify one of the leading providers of GDP in this country for a couple of years, and then when we need the votes of the wider nation, we will put our arm around the construction industry's shoulder and get it to do lots and lots of work on roads and schools and pothole repairs and what have you. If a recession sets in, I can see more road jobs being started when the prices have been driven down. Yeah, quite possibly. And again, I mean, he's probably long since gone back to work now, but you look at the situation with Ken Hatcher down in Wales. There is effectively a moratorium on all road work down in Wales. As far as I know, that's still in place. So you'll be able to drive around England on some fresh new roads. You'll cross the Severn Bridge and you'll be back to cobbles. I'm exaggerating slightly, but you get the idea. Excuse me. Jim Turner says the county council just bought a lump of land near me and that's been earmarked for a bypass without needing a compulsory purchase order, and it's very cheap too. Yeah, it is. Again, it is going to be the landowners that win. We mentioned this on the show when Neil Edwards was on. A lot of the house builders, the major house builders, have great rakes of land that is standing by waiting to take housing. They basically can't lose. If the prices of houses are right, they will build those houses and sell them at enormous profit. If the price is not right, they will sit on that land, bide their time, twiddle their thumbs and wait because they've got a tangible asset in that land, and then when the time is right, up go the houses, and there you are. So for all the government initiatives of 30,000 or hopes for 30,000 homes per year, you're still basically held up partly by planning, but also by housing companies that are quite happy to sit on their land banks until the time is right. Are we ever going to cure the housing situation? It hasn't happened in my lifetime. I've been reporting on a housing shortage for 30 years, and never once have I actually reported on the fact that we hit target. And when I started writing about this, the annual target was less than 200,000. It was then 200,000, it was then 250,000, and the annual target now is 300,000. And never once in 33, nearly 34 years, have we ever hit that target. It makes targets largely meaningless, I think. Right, people, enough of this idle banter. I've got a video to finish, which is another of our T4S Tech Foresights shows. Got another one coming up in the not too distant future, and we've got a guy on coming on from Navtech Radar talking about the robotization of the industry as well. We've also got one that's working away in the background on artificial intelligence, so plenty more to come with that. So yeah, lots more to come. Jim Turner says they bought 100 acres for less than $7,000 an acre and sell either side of the new road for a fortune. Basically, they can build a free road. Yeah. And then take an absolute eternity to actually adopt that road, so it doesn't need sweeping and cleaning and maintaining. It's the whole nonsense. The whole thing is right. People, go have a good day. Please go and have a good day. Look after yourselves. I'll be back here again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed ish. I need to drop a line over to Pauline just to reassure her that I was never a porn star. In my dreams, I'm a porn star to this day, but in real life, never a porn star. But I need to clarify that situation. But I'll be back here tomorrow. I hope to see you all then. Thanks very much indeed for your input, and have a great day. All the best.